All right. Welcome to Writer Nama, author to author series. And this time we are with a magical person, a magical writer, and a very good, wonderful, magical friend of mine as well. And what do I talk about her before that? This is her book, Speak Your Magic. And do give it a shot. And I'm very sure, even if it is not it's very new to you, after we talk, many things will come up, and we will talk more about magic and some mundane things as well. Okay. And if I talk about Reshma Bangarimath, how the book writes you, if I talk about that, because this is my personal feeling that you don't write the book writes you. And this fits exactly well in her writing journey for sure. Be looking at her, because I've been in touch with her even when she was not writing the book with me. I was checking her Instagram, and so since then I know her journey of writing. So it was not just about the book writing per se. She was into writing, the kind of evolvement that I've seen in social media and everything. And this book, I'm sure she will share. She would love to share the story about how the one got scrapped and the other one came, and it was a beautiful process of blossoming. I would say that the caterpillar to butterfly phase for sure. And there were definitely those painful moments of letting go the previous one. And I'm very sure. And it was so beautiful to witness all of that. So definitely the book has not just written her, but rewritten her in many ways. And another thing I want to mention that, which I noticed, and I definitely, apart from the introduction of the author, I love to start it with what I have learned from the author. One thing which I learned from Reshma and will always stay in my mind, and in fact has become a part of my routine after observing her, was the beginner's mindset. She being a communication coach before, she being to the places, having worked in the corporate, having very good command on the language and all those things there. When she comes to learn, she comes with a beginner's mindset. And that's the beauty of working with such people, because you can see that they might already know what you're talking about, but still they come with that empty cup, and they're ready to be refilled. And that's the beauty. The moment you refill those people with whatsoever contribution you can do, that becomes a very beautiful experience to explore, to feel, and to nourish both the people. I'm sure, like, I got more nourished doing and witnessing that part for sure. So coming with a beginner's mindset is something which I knew that the importance I already knew, but with seeing her, witnessing her doing that, it has become a part, and I made a note of it. Literally, I did journaling on that. After every person writes a book, I did a bit of journaling about what I learned from them, and this was the one thing which I could immediately notice that, wow, having learned so many things, when the person is coming to you, the person is coming for with an empty cup. It's not like, okay, I know all these things, so I will not attend these sessions, or I know all these things, so I don't need that person. So that's what the beauty is all about. And definitely this helps not just in learning the things, but relearning and looking at the things which you have already learned with a broader perspective. And one more thing which I'm very sure Reshma stands strong for, and I'm not sure whether she knows that or not, is that she has that very, very gentle, distinct leader in the sense that it's not the boss sort of leader, it's not a coach sort of authority, but it's a very gentle part where the person is walking with you. In fact, the person is walking their own path without being aware about that they are leaving the footprints in people's heart. And their journey is so inspiring that people start following. And she being the journey from the corporate to the communication coach, and then finally into the spirituality and healing and akashic reading, Reshma not just has come long way, but she has left lot many footprints for all of us to get inspired in some or the other phase of her life. In fact, if I look at it, I was inspired since the time I know her. I don't know number of years by now, maybe 4 5 years or 3 4 years. But yes, that's what is I would say about her. She has a very beautifully infectious energy, and that you will feel when you will learn about her more. And yes, another thing which she's which she inspires me for is her versatility. She is, despite, and she's not one of those people who are like, I will follow the cookie cutter path. I will follow that, there's something, if I'm a coach, then I will be a coach only. Or if I'm into communication, I will not switch. And because of her, uh, I would say that I have stepped into spirituality, because this myth of mine that, I'm into writing, I cannot step out and do anything else, that got completely erased. And now I'm able to beautifully integrate writing and spirituality together. So all thanks to you, Reshma, and welcome on board. And super excited to talk to you about so many things.
Okay, that was so unexpected, but also very heartwarming, I should say, because I think at least it's been a month or so since the book launched. So I've been in this phase of like detached and just wondering where life is going, and just to hear everything from your side, like through your lens, through your perspective, is just landing that, okay, I've had a really cool journey. I think you kind of forget about it because you're always like in what's next, like where you're going, and just to kind of listen to that and letting it land is like, wow. It's a good thing for me to also remember that it's been a beautiful journey so far, and I should actually be grateful for the this entire path up to now, and not just be focused on keeping going ahead, but actually enjoy this phase like really better. So thank you for that beautiful introduction. At the same time, look back at this whole crazy journey that it's been so far. Thank you so much.
Indeed, a very beautiful memory lane to visit always.
Yes. And thank you so much for doing this. Like, I love, I think it's the second or third time that we are doing a YouTube live together. And I don't know, every time it feels like I'm a new person altogether. And it was like, it's like a different, for me also to look back at every time I've introduced myself or I've spoken about, it's always changed. It's always like keeps shifting and changing. So, and I'm high. I think these is great checkpoints for me also to see the journey as well. So I'm glad to be here and talk about the book, talk about everything, and let's jump right in.
Indeed. So before I even ask you why did you write this book or what inspired you, I would love you to tell all of us about how this became a very metamorphosis process, especially because you had a book in mind and you were working on a book the previous year, and this time, how many things changed and how it shaped you.
So when I think in a recent book launch event that we did in Hyderabad, my aunt happened to be there, and she's like, "How long did it take for you to write the book?" I was like, it took me like 3 weeks to write the book, but then editing took me a lot longer than like getting it sorted and formatted and all of that took way longer than writing the book. But if I have to like zoom out a little, I would say from the inception of the book, it would be like actually 2021. So 4 years since the book actually, the seed kind of started. But if I have to say where did it all begin, I think it's the entire journey that I've had with working on myself, with speaking up, like goes way back to my childhood, because every single experience is a part of this journey. Because the minute I think after writing this book, what landed for me is that every step of my life so far has been leading to this book being written. It's been a culmination of all of it. Me learning to overcome stage fear, me learning to stand up and speak in front of people, me learning to work on not shivering and trembling and all of that, to learning to speak better, learning to articulate better, learning to train, learning to stand up for myself, being assertive, and then eventually realizing that this is what I want to help people with, and then training all of them, and doing all of like communication skills was my forte for about more than 12 13 years in various spaces. I worked with kids like 16 17 old kids to people who are like 40 plus, and all of this, and then eventually moving to spirituality, the whole journey, I think, ends with that book, or one journey ends and another begins, is how I'm looking at it. It feels like it's such a pivotal moment in my life to say at 35, this book before and after kind of a thing, right? It's a huge, it's the journey for up to 35, I would definitely say, because that's how it feels like. The seed for the book, initially when in 2021, I had the idea, I was just very new into spirituality. Like I just started like fallen into it and I had gotten sucked in deep. But then is when I really thought like I want to combine communication and spirituality in a way that would really land for people. A lot of the times while I was coaching online, I was asked, how do you actually help people feel that confidence? How do you work on their mindset that they get out of all of these fears that they have? And it was challenging for me to put it into words because it was something that was very intuitive, something that I just did and did not know how to put it into a process. As much as I tried to create a framework for confidence and everything of sort, it was still the work that I did with people. But I think with spirituality and the foray into the energy and understanding ourselves better, I started to find that, okay, here is where I can actually build something or find a better way. So, but even then, the book was not what it is, which finally you see. It's not the one that it is right now. It was still a more technical kind of a book, something that helps you work through confidence and speaking up and all of that. And I knew I was going to write it one day. It was very strong thing that I'm going to write this book, this culmination of all of these aspects. It was there. I started the work. I started creating my own frameworks. I started testing it out with people actually at that point because I felt like I really needed to have some more understanding. But what eventually happened was like communication while I was still working with people, spirituality was where I completely pivoted into. And though spirituality was not majorly about speaking up, I feel like all of the experience that I've had working on myself and working with so many folks very closely with them, over the last 3 years, all of it brought the other side of it into clarity. And last year, I actually randomly started writing the book. It felt like the book was being written. That's what Tina was talking about. I was not working per se with her because I was not sure where this was. One day I would write 8 chapters and I sprained my wrist. The other times and I was just typing out entire chapters. But it so happened that after 23 chapters, I completely disconnected with the book that I was writing. It was very communication related, the speaking part of it. So I left it. I let go of it, which was not an easy thing to do because you've written 23 chapters and it feels so intuitive. It was a very well written book, I would say, but I just couldn't continue. I just felt so disconnected from communication the way I was seeing at it then versus how I was writing about it. It was a total disconnect. So I just let the book go. That was 2024. And then finally, when I thought, okay, this year, I'm just going to work with Hina, like finish this book. I just have to write a few more chapters, probably just close it up. And I think I'm there because I'm closing this entire communication chapter of my life. Let me close it with this book. But what ended up happening was I could not even connect with what I had written last year. It was such an intuitively written book. It was just flowing through me. And I just couldn't connect anymore with the book. It was like, I don't know who this person is who wrote this book, was how it felt. And it ended up being something else altogether. I remember I wrote the dedication first for this book. And everything else just flowed. Like I said, I wrote the book in about 3 weeks. I went at it full on, but I feel it's a lifetime of work that actually flowed in those 3 weeks. But also it was the energy that I felt when I tapped into it. I remember Hina saying, why are you limiting it to just women? You could, it's a bigger audience. You're all cutting your audience, but it was so specific. Like I knew this was something that I would write for women. I wanted it to be like that, and the good part of it was in the event, the book launch event, there were women who were telling me I felt like I was reading this for me, like these lines meant were just for me. And I think that's how the book was written. I wanted it to be something that lands for every single person, every single woman who reads it, and actually land and not feel like it's general, it's for a general audience. And that is the journey of the book. So from a metamorphosis perspective, I feel like I had to grow into the person who had to write the book. It's not like the book changed me, but I had to grow into the person
Yeah,
who could write that book, because every time I wrote, it was not the right person writing the book. The
right.
book needed me to grow into who I was in May 2025. And that person had to write the book. That version of me had to write the book, I say. And that was 35 years in the making.
Indeed, indeed. I think the books also have that frequency, and when you match there, you read and
Yes,
put there, and then it matches together.
absolutely.
And yes, some I think the communication closure that you wanted to give, sometimes the closure is not good. And it's
Like I said,
direct
it
jump into,
felt like, sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, no, please go ahead.
It felt like, yes, it's an end, but it's also a bridge into something new altogether. In so many ways, it didn't feel like a closure. It just felt like it's opening up the space for something beyond just communication. Because though I say speak your magic, communication itself is a very small part of the book, but it's more about the inner work before communication, right? It's everything that happens before the words come out of you. So I think, yeah, it was not a closure per se, but it felt like a beautiful end to something new that's beginning, which I don't know what that is yet.
Yeah, indeed. But how I look at it is, so far the previous one was more centered on, working on the maybe verbal part, verbal communication,
Mm,
and the communication with others. And when you had this shift, I guess it more turned inward more, and it is
yeah,
more about the communication with yourself. Uh, and I guess all the power that you want to derive stems from there.
exactly. I think we have this chapter where we talk about safety.
Hmm.
A lot of this book is about creating safety within you
Hmm.
to speak,
Right.
so that you don't criticize yourself, so you don't judge yourself, you don't stop yourself, you know that that magic in you needs to be out there. So it's how do you create that safety within you firstly, before you create it outside of you, and look for it outside and all of that. And like you said, it's about going within, because I think that's where it starts. When you're aligned within, everything else outside feels a lot more easier to do, for sure.
Exactly. Absolutely. So, meanwhile, I have few more questions for Reshma. Those who are on YouTube can please drop your questions or any queries you have for Reshma in the chat box, and I'll be taking that up. And okay, so let's come back to so Reshma, as I lovingly call her Reshu as well. Uh, how about the challenges, any challenges that you faced in the phase of writing or maybe planning the book, or what was the toughest part of it, all of it?
Mm. I think there is this section which is heavy on the inner work, which is actually about facing the fears, which is about working through what's keeping you stuck from speaking up, from expressing yourself, from sharing your truth, your magic. And that part has to be the most heaviest, because I realized I didn't want to go so deep that it becomes difficult for people. But at the same time, I did not want to just keep it at a surface level. I wanted people to move through that transformation, right? I wanted people to be able to experience the growth and feel the change and feel the shift, actually overcome the fears that they're stuck with, the blocks, the beliefs. So that section is where I actually took a lot of break. I had to give myself the time to sit and write. Everything up until that one flowed very quickly. I was very excited by how things were going. And I was worried at one point when I was like, I'm stuck here and I need to figure out how do I maneuver this part, right? And that's when it was more about the level of depth that I wanted to keep going with, and also not feel completely alien for people as well, right? So that was a difficult section actually that I had the most, but I think I went back to basics in a way of how do I simplify this. Metaphors actually really help. So because those are the chapters where we have the thresholds and the guardians. So we have 8 guardians who think they're keeping you safe and they're protecting you, but they're actually not helping you grow. So how do you move past those guardians, those gatekeepers in a way, and then cross these thresholds, different thresholds, which are stopping your growth, not allowing the truth, not allowing you to be the person who you're meant to be, or not allowing the voice to move through you. So those were the challenging parts of it. It took a lot out of me also to write it uh, because of the depth again here and how much I realized I had grown to be able to write those chapters, because I don't think I could have done that earlier. So those 4 chapters were like the craziest, I would say for sure. You're on mute.
Yeah, I could also sense that when you were into those chapters, there was a bit of I would not say hesitation, but yeah, there was a bit of obviously you were going to and fro, coming back and forth, and you wanted to make it as you said, I wanted to make it simplest, and so you kept on mentioning that this is the most deepest part of the book, and I don't know how to do that at all, and that happens by bringing this up. I want to say that this is a normal part of I guess everybody's writing journey, because I've witnessed this in many people in many forms. Each one of us at least pauses for that time. Some people doubt that is it really worth it, why did I even start. Some people take a pause, some people vanish for a longer time, and all those things happen. So what helped you to stay on the track and not leave the path? Or maybe there was a break of that I told you that take a break of 2-3 days, and that all is fine. But it's one thing to take a break knowingly, consciously, and it's another thing to get scared, or maybe just let those fears overpower you, or let those doubt overcome you, and just maybe not put a full stop, but it's kind of a huge break in the writing process. How did you manage to stay on the track?
I was actually pretty scared because I know there are times I've created so many things over the years. So I know that sometimes a break can be a good thing or a bad thing, right? Like, as you said, there are people who might take months before they get back. And I've experienced this. I've created so many offers, programs, etc. But I know that every creation has like its own path. But so my fear was I wrote a book already and I scrapped it and I'm starting again. I don't want to leave this also. Like I was so vehement that no, I have to finish it. And I remember all the times that if it doesn't get done now, then I might just lose track and go off, drift off, get distracted. So I think that was my major fear. Like what if something like that happens? But I think here I feel like taking a break definitely helps to give yourself a little bit of space. But I couldn't disconnect from the book itself. Like it was not like I knew I felt like that calling was like to keep writing or to keep going back. So just constantly brainstorming different ways in which I can approach this, I think eventually led to it. But and I think what helped me really overcome the fear was this thing that probably if it does take a longer break, that's what the book needs. Like I can't uh, be controlling and say that no, I have to finish the book, because I knew how the energy of the or how the energy that I felt when writing the previous chapters. And I did not want to write it for the sake of writing. I knew I wanted it to be as powerful or even more if required. So I think just letting myself be okay with the fact that, okay, even if it doesn't happen now, it'll happen at the right time. I think that is an important aspect that we should be okay with. One, because like I said, I had to grow to be the person who wrote the book. So maybe that part needed more growth, but I'm glad that it did not happen and I actually was able to just figure out, I think, what I needed to share, the depth and how I wanted to present it. And the minute I got that, everything started flowing again. So yeah, I would say that I think it's that connection with what you create.
Indeed.
You realize is it like not there right now, or does that need a break, or it's still alive and it still wants you to be back. Right. I think knowing that, I know I'm going a little off track with this here, but knowing what you're creating, in this case, the book once, like feeling that connection with the book, I think helps a lot helped a lot here for me.
Indeed, very beautiful. And speaking of the tagline, which is a quantum coded soul led to your voice, I already knew that you are into this very deep, already doing so much of deep work in terms of spirituality, and you stay away from those so-called labels or so-called stereotyped paths, but still are carving your own way. So how, I mean, the difference between the one that you scrapped and this one, was that also the channeled one, or how did this happen? Like, how did you feel this? Was it an instant urge or something that made you realize that, okay, this is going to be the channeled one?
So when I was writing last year, it felt pretty in flow.
Okay.
Like I remember sending a chapter to you and saying, this is very conversational. It feels like I'm talking to somebody. Do people write books like these? And you are like, it is absolutely okay to write a book. That's your flavor. That's your style.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong. And I was like, okay, then let me keep going. It was like I wanted the previous book to be like a cheerleader, an invisible cheerleader. Like this book that keeps telling you you can go for it. Something whispering to you when you're stuck, when you're scared, to be that cheerleader for you. And that was how I was writing it. It felt intuitive for sure. It felt in flow. I was not forcing myself to write. I was writing in the randomest of times, in the randomest of places. So it felt intuitive at that point in time, definitely. But this time, like I said, the dedication came first. The women before, the women coming after. And I don't know, that felt like I tapped into something that was what the book wanted. That energy, that feminine energy that came through was very strong the minute I started working on this book. I think I knew the title of the book. I did not know the tagline, but I wrote the dedication before I even decided to write anything else after. And that actually paved the path for the rest of the book. Every time I sat to write, I was feeling the energy, the collective women ancestral energy. It was very strong. And the songs that I kept hearing, like particularly one song that I kept hearing, and it used to give me goosebumps. It used to give me, and it just felt like I was channeling a lot of it. And which is why so much of it, even if it doesn't, editing, it tells you this is a mistake, this is a mistake, this is a grammatical mistake, is like, no, you can't really call this a mistake. I know it is a grammatical mistake, and I still am going to keep it that way, because it's the energy of the words that matters as well. If you take all the life out of it, then there's no difference between you and AI. I don't know, just bringing that up, but there is no difference. The energy makes a difference, I feel. So this was definitely more channeled. That felt intuitively being written, but this felt channeled for sure. Like there was an energy that kept me going. And I felt that was powering the book more than just me.
Indeed. And I strongly believe with time that if an idea is coming to you, the idea has chosen you to be this to be the medium so that it can be shared with the world. And in fact, in Elizabeth's book, also The Big Magic, she has talked about the same, that sometimes it so happens that you miss on that call, and in that case, it goes to somebody else. It's not like that, it's annoyed with you, but it goes to somebody else, and that somebody else takes that signal and picks up the idea, and something comes out, and then you realize, okay, this was on my mind, and something like that similarly came up.
Right.
So yeah, so that's a very beautiful part, and also the funny one as well, if you don't realize and
Yeah.
take the other way around. Okay, so how about talking about your perspective on writing? I'm very sure like you already know the importance of writing, but how has it changed the before and after part? Before you wrote the book and after you have written the book, how do you look at the whole writing scene and also the part of writing with AI, which is very burning topic these days?
Uh, as writing the book, I think, like I said, I've been writing for the last 5 years, I would say. I started learning to write because of creating content for building an online coaching business. And through that, I learned creative writing from you. And then I did a couple of lot of writing for my own social media. I think all of that. And then I did learn writing through another coach online, Simone, as well. I think all of it just helped me eventually find my own style of writing. And along with the channeled essence of the book, it's what that book is right now. So I was writing a lot, and that was a drastic difference to post writing the book. I felt I had no more words, and it was a little scary for a while. But I realized that okay, I've written a lot, and I feel like I've been squeezed out, like the towel, like everything is out of me, and I probably don't have any words to say. I'm in that, and I was in that phase for a while. It's just taken, I think, months now, since I finished writing the book to now. It feels like okay, words are coming back to me, and what is interesting now is I feel excited to explore more, because in the course of writing this book, I've written almost poetry format of, like a lot of parts of the book are like poetry format. And then I've written micro stories in different perspectives, in different ways, with dialogues, without dialogues, just building things up, and also instructional, because the book is not just something you read, it's something you experience. So there's tasks and there's practices. It's been a very wide mix of things that I have explored with this book. And actually, it's just got me interested and intrigued in trying, in exploring more fiction, nonfiction, different styles, different things. And that's something that's exciting me. And I wanted to, like, I just decided that I would, because I'm feeling the words coming through, I want to set myself a writing routine of sorts going forward to keep writing,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and not just stick to trying to write something specific, but keep going, because you never know what might end up happening, I think. So that one thing, writing with AI is, oh my God. I feel it's so easy for us to now move to AI. And while I feel it's great for brainstorming, it's great to um, give, like, help you close the gaps that you're probably stuck with, give you a lot of creative directions. But I think, like I said, I think there's energy in your work, and that energy filters through. AI is very heartless. There is no, even as much as it tries to add emotion, and people are getting even more smarter and smarter and getting AI to mimic writing like people and all of it. But it's just not there. I think it doesn't touch you in the way uh, people, their energies touch you. And I think maybe, who knows where this might go, where AI now can talk like people. It adds hms and has, it adds fillers, it and actually breathes. You got AI doing so many crazy things right now, like getting really better. But I still think that human essence, that is the magic, that what I call, I don't think any AI can replicate that. And I think we need to nurture that. Like use AI to maybe get better in whatever you want to get better in. Great sparring partner, great brainstorm. But if that is going to do the writing for you, then what's the point? My question is always then, what's the point? Because AI can live your everything else. If it can do all of this for you, then what's the point of us creating art? What's the point of us writing? What's the point of us speaking? What's the point of life itself?
I remember because it's like taking the ownership is how I look at it. In fact, few days back only when I was talking to you regarding somebody who had written the book, complete book with AI, and I was just ranting out with you that I'm just really frustrated, and oftentimes it puts me into that mode that whether I should be judgmental or not, because whether I should be open or not, because it's okay. I also take assistance. In fact, all my promotional messages are from AI. It's that's just to save time. I have some boundaries there that this much work AI will do, but I will never let it write the book on my behalf, because I know how beautifully I write, believing in that power that AI cannot supersede that. It may write beautifully, but it won't write you. It won't write you, no
Like
matter.
I'll tell you, when I say I would have given this very emotional message, and it takes all the life of it once it cleans it up. And I'm like, there's a huge difference. I don't know whether people see it, but I notice these things, and like reading between the lines, basically. And I feel like people connect. Let me just say this. Books have lived for so long, right? And why they live for so long and why we still feel connected to the people they write is because they've poured so much of themselves into it.
Indeed.
What's happening with AI? There's no life to pour into. It's just generating. It's just generating. So as long as it's just generating, it doesn't understand human emotions, does it? I recently watched this video. I genuinely am bad with theories and names, but there's this study where this person was given a lot of Chinese, like this is the language. So if someone gives you a word, you're in this room and you're just giving the output of a Chinese answer, like in Chinese. It's just that. It was a study done long, long ago. This has a name for it, I forgot. So the question is, does this, as long as you keep getting the responses in Chinese, do you think this person sitting on the other side actually knows Chinese and understands Chinese? Or is just generating what they've been given as a job? The same AI does the same. It takes all of the information we give it, and it just is creating that output. So there is no life. So do you call AI a human in this case? It's not. So it doesn't feel anything. It understands that this is how people feel, and then it mimics and recreates that emotion. But it has no life of its own to feel anything, does it? So there's always going to be a huge difference. Just reading between the lines, you always sense people's energies. You read a text by someone and you can say how they feel, even if they just say, I'm fine. Don't we? When it comes to near and dear ones. It's not fine. There's something there. We keep digging. What happened? Tell me. You can talk to me. With AI, you will not feel that.
Yeah.
That is the basic difference that I can give you in how much is conveyed with words that we humans do and that AI can't replicate. So your magic, your essence comes through your words, comes through your art, comes through whatever it is that you do. that is uniquely your essence, your magic.
Indeed. I absolutely agree with that. And setting that boundary is very, very important. And before we wrap up, one very important question that keeps on, I guess that would be going to do a lot of good to all the people who are thinking to write the book or are in process of writing the book is, how do you make out time? I know you need to make time and you don't get time. Still, how do you manage your time along with the kind of coachings you're doing, the kind of work you're already doing, and how could you complete the first draft in 3 weeks? Definitely, it took almost a month long to edit that and keep on working on the revision and adding the meditations and all that part. But how the basic draft is what I'm talking about. When people get stuck, what would be your go-to advice for that?
I think writing, whether it's something that comes to you innately or whether it's something that you build on, if you feel called to share, you should, because how else are you going to share your magic? When I say speak your magic, it doesn't always have to be through your voice. It can also be through your writing. And I feel like every time we keep stopping ourselves from sharing what wants to be shared through us, we are doing not just yourself like a disservice, we're doing a disservice to all the people who need to hear what you have to say. So every time you think that, oh, this is not so great, or yeah, this is not so, I don't have the time for it, you don't realize how much you could be helping others by sharing what you feel like sharing. Some of the times, the most randomest stories that I feel I shouldn't share or I shouldn't talk about are the ones that people be like, I really needed to hear this. I did this today. And I'm like, I am so glad I did not stop myself. You know, in spirituality, I think one of the big starting points of spirituality for everyone is synchronicities. Like you start seeing numbers, you start seeing repeated numbers, you start getting those messages from everywhere. You will keep getting more and more synchronicity or the right kind of messages at the right time, as long as you also keep contributing. So think of your writing as you contributing to somebody else's synchronicity moment. The moment when they are supposed to receive this, hear this at the right time so that they can, something clicks and something works in their favor and they can make a big change in their life. You have no scope of knowing how everything is unfolding in life. And you want to keep being in flow with life, then you also need to contribute. Just like how we say, you know, give to get.
Hmm.
So this is how you could be giving. It could be sharing something that you felt you like, oh, saw a post, saw a video. This is great. I need to share. This is what I think about it. Or it could be something new that you completely want to write. And not judge, not criticize, not wonder if it's good, bad, nothing. Writing is writing. Words are words. And that's all that matters, as long as it goes out there, because you don't know who needs it.
Indeed.
You would never know the impact of what you're doing has out there on yourself for others, but it's important that you do. So contribute to synchronicity in the world, because that's why something wants to be written through. And when you internalize this, there's no need to make time for writing. You could take the minute something comes and just jot it down and put it out there. It doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't have to be complex, it doesn't have to be polished, it doesn't have to be perfect or anything. It just needs to go out there in whatever format.
Indeed. Wow. That's very, very powerfully said and can be, I mean, it can serve as a reminder to all those, including me. Many a times, there's this lethargy comes up and then I have to go through the process of reminding myself. And that's the biggest reminder that you are doing this service to the people who need it the most. Very,
We think maybe no one is listening, no one is reading, no one is watching,
yeah.
but you don't know. You never know.
Yeah, because if the message has come to you, it has come to you for something for sure. Somebody needs.
Sometimes it might be you yourself who needs it after a while.
Exactly. Absolutely. So wonderful. I mean, it's just a beautiful conversation. I think we need to chunk out the snippets from this to
Yeah.
get the beautiful replies. And I'm sure this is going to help all the upcoming writers and also the ones who are thinking about writing for sure. And whether or not you're writing or not, but do give this book a shot for sure, because this is not just about, expressing through writing, it is about connecting within yourself. And that's, I think, is the core of everything in your life. Whether you want to work on your finances, or whether you want to work on anything, if you're not connected from within, nothing will be smooth. And and that's where it she said that it starts from there. I think that it even ends there also, that if you're connected with yourself, everything else feels easy, light. And it's just like a, you know there would be problems in life, but you will be so elevated if you're connected within yourself, that it won't feel like a problem. So give Speak Your Magic a shot. And thank you, Reshma, for being here. Last thing I want to request you is to, what do you want to say to the audience, whether it is related to writing or related to life, anything which your 2 cents to people.
There's so much, but I think I will keep it, in line with the book. Magic doesn't have to be something out of the box, something crazy, something you never have come across, you never seen it in your life. It could be the simplest things that make you you. And I think there's so much amazing potential magic that we all have to share. And don't stop yourself from sharing that, because um, there are a lot of people who do a lot of amazing things in the world. And I feel that when everyone is doing or sharing their magic, that's how the world becomes a better place, because you do what you're uniquely, your essence. When you keep sharing that, why wouldn't the world be a better place, no matter whatever is happening at any given point? Because that's exactly what we need, right? Your art, your magic, your voice, your truth, your essence, all of the things that makes you you, that beautiful potential in you is what everyone needs, actually. So don't stop yourself from doing that, I think. And that's how we can make the world a better place.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much, Reshma, for being here and sharing these beautiful, beautiful conversations with me. And I'm sure there are more to go every time. And it's always been something different with you this time as well. And just a super duper thankful note to you and to the audience as well for being here. And you can also drop your questions in the chat, in the comments below. Later on, I will have a look at it. And if something needs to be addressed by Reshma, definitely she will also join the chat in the comments.
Well, thank you so much for this beautiful questions. I loved answering all of them. And it also made me think a lot about the whole thing, actually, the journey, writing itself, the book. So thank you so much. It's been wonderful.
Most welcome. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye bye.